let's talk about Ohio because
that's my next door neighbor.
We should. It is. You're low. It is actually. I think this is partially your fault. Actually, this is a good thing, but it's your fault.
Yeah.
So, Tim, what would you say if I told you that Ohio just released something from the Attorney General's office, and they say the change in concealed carry law did not, I repeat, did not bring violent crime to the Buckeye State? What would you say?
Oh, they got to be mistaken.
They must be.
It has to be. Yeah,
something's off.
It's propaganda. There's something. It's propaganda. It's something. There's something wrong here. There's no way they would say that.
Right. It can't be because they added guns and they added concealed carry and they removed permitting from the state.
Yep.
So therefore, I'm pretty sure in the gun control math world, that means the entire state's going to cease to exist.
Yes, running gun battles on the street and people just deleting each other ad nauseam. Yeah, it's just going to be. It's just crazy. It's pure chaos when they do those things. You know,
I think you're right.
28 states are almost completely gone now because of this. You know, the populations have dwindled to 5 or 6 people being left in each of those states that have passed constitutional carry.
Yeah, it's crazy. They're the best shots, but they're very lonely. It's very weird. You know, I think speaking of propaganda, we got to start this out right because let's go to Moms Demand Action and let's see what they said on the timestamp because the internet is this feisty thing that doesn't forget. This is number 7. Dr. Button Pusher, throw that bad boy up for me. Shameful. Ohio legislature sends permitless carry to Governor DeWine's desk despite opposition from law enforcement. Moms demand action. Students demand action. Call on Governor DeWine to veto it. And that was March 2nd of 2022. In fact, Tim, here's some more data. They told us this would happen. They told us. So we knew we did. This is number 8. Quote, "It is shameful that our lawmakers chose to repeatedly ignore the concerns of law enforcement and passed a bill that would place our communities and the people whose job it is to protect us in danger," a volunteer with the Ohio chapter of Moms Demand Action has said. Well, Tim, they said it right there. They warned us.
Yep.
The 5 population, like you mentioned, they did.
Yep.
They did. Man, sarcasm's strong with us this morning because that didn't happen.
No.
But that's so weird.
That's what they do. They blame guns from everything. I mean, they blame guns for global warming and cow farts. I mean, they just blame it's the guns.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times you got to get online and see the little memes? It's the guns, which will dovetail into one of our goofy gun grabber segments later this afternoon. Because it's only the guns when they want to be the guns, but when it's not the guns, it's not the guns. But sometimes it is the guns, and when it's the guns, it's definitely the guns. And that comes from our Vice President Kamala Harris.
Yep.
All right, go ahead.
Exactly. No, you nailed it. And then that's like typical gun controller math. But you didn't carry the magazine. You got to carry the magazines, and that gives a different. It's complicated advanced math. But anyway, this is number 3. So this is where we've been, Tim, because you remember this was a terrible day. The day of the culling began on this day, beginning on June 13th, 2022. Ohio became the 23rd state to allow its citizens to carry a concealed weapon without a permit. But in the year following, crime involving guns dropped across Ohio's 8 largest cities as a whole, and 6 of the 8 individually. Tim, that can't be.
It's almost like that's what we've been saying all along.
Man, it is. That football is in my hand. The mental football. I'm about to spike it so hard.
Well, you know, it's the gun grabbers are out there telling us that we're all dying and you know, mass shootings are occurring, you know, every 6 to 8 inches on American soil every day. Millions and trillions and billions and trillions and gazillions of people are dying. Joe Biden's polling low. Guess what, folks? We solved the crime problem.
Goodness. We solved the problem. You know, it went away.
Yeah, we're back to 1968 levels. We just ran the numbers last night, and holy cow! I mean,
would you look at that?
Yeah,
man. So I'll tell you, it is weird.
Yeah, it's weird. But you know what we're doing? What are we up to? 28 states now with permitless carry.
I believe it's 28.
Yeah, and what we commonly refer to as constitutional carry, and it's no different than the change that happened beginning in the late 80s, going in the 90s, heavily pushed in the 2000s, and that was just issuing concealed carry permits to citizens in general, right? You know, 30 years ago, most states didn't have a law on the books. Now, all 50 do. And then we didn't stop there because we aren't happy with being taxed, because that's what a permit is a tax.
Absolutely.
You're not happy being taxed and getting the blessing from the king to be able to exercise our rights. So we pushed even harder for what we now refer to as constitutional carry. We're up to 28 states. And guess what, folks? according to the gun grabbers, crime's down. It's miraculous. Oh my gosh. It's the Safer Communities Act.
Yeah. Oh, that's what it was?
That's what they claim.
Oh, man. I was over here, Tim, thinking that it was something about free men and free women defending themselves using their rights, but it was actually the Safer Communities Act?
Well, what you're mentioning is the truth. What I'm talking about is the propaganda. So anyway.
Oh, that's the difference.
Yes.
Oh, man. I fell for it again, Tim. I did. I did. And if you guys, by the way, are new to Second Legacy, this is the sarcasm vibe that we put out sometimes. This is not really our stances. Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to read between the lines.
Thick.
You know, we can.
Between these three.
Oh, yeah,
anyway.
I didn't do that. I did 4, man. That's on you.
Yeah, well, you know what? That's right.
All right.
Because I'm an 80s baby. That's right. That's how we roll right here.
You're trying.
I am. Oh, don't be like that. Don't be like. I'm trying to be cool.
You don't have enough grade to be an 80s
4.
baby.
I was doing. I caught the tail end. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Anyway.
All right. Anyway, back to this. So let me show you. Exactly, rumble strip. It happens all the time. We don't want Dr. Button Pusher to yell at us, so let's get back to this. So this is number 5, Tim, in the payoff here. I would never have seen this coming. Researchers analyzed data spanning from 2021 to 2023, a year before and a year after the law took effect, focusing on crimes involving firearms, verified gunshot detection alerts, and a number of officers struck by gunfire. The study showed significant decreases in the number of crimes involving firearms in Akron, Columbus, and Toledo, and across all 8 cities combined. Well, you know, maybe it's like 1 or 2%, Tim. What do you think the percentage is? You think it's like a 1%? Because, I mean, after all, more guns were bought and more concealed carry or constitutional carry, probably like 1%, right?
Yeah, it's probably, I would go with, yeah. No, I'm going to guess with, it's probably fairly substantial. I'm going to go over 1%.
Oh,
I'm going to play the prices right. Yeah. And
you caught my setup. Okay.
Well,
I can't, nothing speaks by you.
It could go one of two ways. It could be, a really high number, or it could be a really low number, kind of like the number of people that have complied with the Illinois assault weapons ban and registration scheme.
Ooh.
So where are we? Are we 0.3, 0.6, or did we make it over the 1% mark here?
That was too soon. They're still salty about that one, Tim. They're still salty.
Those are my neighbors on the other side.
That's right. You're closer. I'm going to take my football that you borrowed to spike, and I'm going to spike it myself, because here we go. The rate of crime in Parma fell the most by 22%, followed by Akron and Toledo, each with decreases of 18%. Rates for Dayton and Cincinnati increased by 6 and 5, respectively. 22 and 18%.
Which will average out to
20%
across the board. 20%. Yeah. That's almost significant. I mean, that's almost like 20 out of 100. Weird.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, or the occasional. Yeah, exactly. 5 out of 20. Pretty much any way you could do it there. 1 out of like
we
5.
Could throw in we could throw in a little Kamala math.
I don't want to do that.
Not come. Do not come.
Trump had a response to that, I believe. I don't know.
No, he didn't. God, no, he didn't. He didn't have it. He didn't. He did not have a response to it because YouTube doesn't like those kind of responses. Oh, Trump.
Maybe we can hear from Trump later in the video, so it's not associated. Anyway, let's keep going.
You are just destined to get me in trouble on YouTube. But anyway, yeah, 22 and 18%, Tim. I think we can officially put the football in a victory spike and say they were wrong. Constitutional carry was not the end of the world. Crime actually went down with more guns purchased and more people carrying them. Nanny boo-boo. We win. Go away.
Yeah, I'm going to jump on X this afternoon and see how much they're talking about this.
Do it.
Moms Demand Action and Giffords and every town. I'm sure they're out there, talking about this and apologizing for being wrong. Oh, what am I thinking? They never apologize.
What are you thinking?
They'll just change the narrative.
It's for the safety, which I want to bring this up. I don't want to, drive this too hard into the ground, but I'm going to anyway. At what point do we just call out the fact that the entire argument for preventing constitutional carry from the gun controlling side of the aisle was all about safety? Safety was just achieved in bigger numbers than they've ever achieved with any type of gun control. And yet they still exist, because if the whole point was safety and the entire idea was to reduce crime and the entire idea was to reduce, quote, gun crime, it just went down 18 to 22%. I question the need for your existence on a political organization? I have questions, Tim. Because
Well,
what's the point?
let me play devil's advocate here. This drop in
Oh.
crime wasn't because more people were carrying guns without permits. No, actually, that caused crime to spike like 223 billion% or something like that. But thankfully, the most
Billion.
comprehensive gun control law in 30 years was passed. And that's what really brought this down because, you know,
Oh.
the 300 people that they claim brought the national
Right,
crime
for
average
prior
down 20%. Those 300 people
Yeah.
that this most incredible gun control law in 30 years was responsible for. Well, those 300 people lived in Ohio, and they're evenly distributed between all these 8
Wow.
cities. So that's the opposite
Wow.
narrative. Just
That's impressive.
I've been hanging out
that
with these
is-
people online long enough. I know how
Man.
they think, dude.
I tell you what, yeah, that's go like 40 to 45 people per city and national reduction. You're right, because they did in a previous video. We did mention there was 300 of those most violent people that brought down all of the gun violence across the entire nation. It turns out it was only Ohio. Man, if we had just built a wall around Ohio, we would have been. This would have
We
been
didn't
fine.
know Ohio was the source of our problem the entire time.
And Tim, genius. And I particularly like how you tied in the most impactful gun legislation in 30 years, which also did nothing and didn't go didn't go far enough.
Yeah.
But it's a baby step from their own mouths.
Right. This isn't what we wanted. We know it's not really going to do much, but it's a stepping stone to
my
greater things.
goodness.
Oh my gosh, it saved the world. Look at this.
It saved the world.
Re-elect Joe Biden.
It's comical. It's so comical. Have you seen that inflation is still down and so is gun violence and immigration doesn't exist? Have you seen all these things, Tim? 2024 is a great year.
I know.
It's fantastic.
I know. It's been amazing.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
You know, we're down to $3
Well-
a gallon gas. I mean, I still have pictures
We
on my
are.
phone from 2019 where it was $1.33 a gallon.
Man.
But hey, you know,
when I
we're crushing it over here. We're not, we're anyway.
I tell you what.
Rumble Strip.
No, you're right. No, you're right. I think it's a fun one though, because when I started driving, my actual first day of driving, gas was 99 cents a gallon, and I thought it was a travesty to go to $1.
Oh yeah. I remember those days, man.
Well, gas was a nickel for you, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we used to make our own gas. We had our own wells.
Oh, wow.
We drilled them with hand tools. We didn't have shoes.
That's impressive.
And usually it was winter for 12 months and we are butt naked. And I had to walk to school uphill both ways to school in the snow.
All those conditions, and you had to refine your own gas.
Yeah, and we
That's
had to refine our
impressive.
own gas. It was a tough time. Yeah.